Now, US President Donald Trump has good reason to cheer that Labor Day shortened last week by a day. That's because the remaining 4 brought increasingly worse data about the economy on his watch. From manufacturing to hiring, it's been a series of grim readings. And Friday's jobs report may be the biggest hit of all. That perhaps will force the Federal Reserve to cut rates this month.
If you look beneath the headline numbers, the sector participation is among the areas that point to weakness in the job market. And for several months now, we've really been seeing sort of the recession-resistant sectors, healthcare and social assistance, do a lot of the heavy lifting of hiring. And that broad situation is not one where there is any heavy lifting going on. We did see some improvement here in retail and leisure and hospitality. But that area, those two areas, which previously had been quite dynamic in the reopening of the U.S. economy, have been rather lackluster in recent months.
Now, a few years ago, the U.S. unemployment rate hovered at half-century lows. Now, the dreaded percentage is at its highest point since 2021, and the depths of the pandemic. Non-farm payrolls rose to just 22,000 versus the 75,000 that was expected. Now at 4.3%, unemployment is fanning concerns that jobs market is nearing more significant deterioration. This from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, an arm of the U.S. Department, where last month Trump fired the commissioner after a similarly sobering report. The latest data is broadly due to the uncertainty and rising costs tied to Trump's trade war and his immigration policies.
One of the most dramatic changes that has occurred in the last few years is that before the Trump administration, among the things that were really helping the job market to expand was vibrant immigration, and the diminution of legal and illegal immigration, obviously the focus ultimately being on legal immigration, means that we have less labor supply. That's a negative broadly because it impacts the availability of workers that employers can draw from. It's also a negative in the sense that we have less economic activity in the sense of consumer activity that is responsible for about 3/4 of U.S. Economic growth.
The economic reality from Trump's policies are weak jobs, rising unemployment, slowing wages, and the fall in hours worked. Usually, this kind of bad news for American workers is a silver lining because it makes a rare cut by the Fed more likely. The soft jobs report is intensifying calls for meaningful Federal Reserve interest rate cuts. Consumers are already worried about squeezed spending from tariffs and are now increasingly concerned about job security. Fed doves will intensify their calls for action.
The Federal Reserve is increasingly concerned that the part of its mandate associated with the job market is at risk. And so that means that as they focus on two things as prescribed by law, maximum employment and stable prices, the stable prices part of the story is not where they want it to be. But the most troubling aspect is the fact that payroll growth is grinding to a halt.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.